Yeah, looking forward to this week as we prep. You know, the seniors, always a special day when these guys have their last home game or what's scheduled to be their last home game. It's a special moment. It's always hard for me because of the tradition and moments we've had with a lot of these guys. So it's a tremendous group to get to go out and play in front of their families, in front of the Georgia fan base. Against Charlotte. So we'll begin the prep for those guys today and this week.
Kirby, just want to see if you had an update on CJ after Saturday.
Yeah, he'll be week to week and see when we can get him back.
Coach, I guess this qualifies as a big picture question, but you guys are now finished with SEC play. We still got 2 big games to go and won't know if you'll be going to Atlanta for the SEC championship game until after the TAC game. Is that kind of, in some way, a difficult position to be in for you, and kind of how are you kind of approaching this?
No, it's not a difficult position. It's we're worried about Charlotte, right? So we're focused on them. We're getting ready for those guys. That's who we'll prepare for. The next week we'll have a plan for the following week in terms of, people breaking things down and things like that. But it's not a difficult time in terms of that because we're worried about getting better.
Hey, Coach, I'm curious how you thought the rest of the linebacker room picked up CJ's obviously absence, particularly Chris Cole seemed like he got majority of the run.
Yeah, all those guys rolled in there with Chris, Justin, and Raylan playing snaps, and those guys continue to grow and get better. They practiced well this year and continuing to get more depth in that room. But I was proud of the way those guys played a few more snaps.
If you don't mind me following up, who gets the green dot, if you will?
No, they all have the green dot. Okay. They rotate who has it by who's in. So it's not CJ doesn't always have it. Raylan has it some. Chris has it some. Justin has it some.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had an update on Chauncey Bowens when he left the game in the fourth quarter.
Yep, be day-to-day. Hopefully get him back. I hadn't actually got a chance to see Chauncey yet, but he was doing rehab this morning and had good reports from that, but don't know much.
Yeah, Gabe Harris was in on a sack the other night. Just what have you made of his progression throughout this year as he's played by far the most snaps he's played in his career?
Yeah, I think Gabe's been really consistent. He's played really hard, really physical. He's a twitchy player that we need in terms of being disruptive in movements and striking blockers. He's really tough. He's really physical. He's been really durable. I've been very pleased with his consistency throughout the entire season.
Coach, just what has been James Cooley's impact on that wide receiver room, and what's kind of the impact that Javon Wims has had being around this group of guys in that wide receiver room?
Yeah, Coley does a tremendous job. He's a really good teacher. He's passionate about his game. Every day he goes into his meeting room prepared to teach, to challenge, to motivate. He fires up NFL tape. He's got, whether it's Jamar Chase or like an NFL wideout, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I mean, the concepts we use in our offense are very common in the NFL. So those guys really like seeing the guys they look up to running those routes. And so Coley does a good job kind of integrating those things into his meeting to make it interesting. He teaches the toughness we need at that position, the skill set. He's done a good job recruiting, so I've been very pleased with what James has done. Yeah, Javon works with those guys too. It's great because Coley knew Javon when he was here, and they've got a good relationship. He gives good energy. He gives experience. He's a guy's played at that level, and he demands a lot of those guys. He pushes them. He's not afraid to challenge them, and I think that's helpful.
Coach, to your left, how you collectively remember the senior class?
Probably, more about this year because the majority of this senior class has had an increased role, at least from a leadership perspective, maybe a snap perspective in some guys' cases this year, because there were a lot of seniors last year. And this class has been unique in that this season's been different. They've been part of the new culture. First real senior class that was kind of brought into this group. I mean, a couple of them left last year, so Malachi and Michael, they were all part of this class that's gone. But when you look across the board, the fourth-year seniors, they were kind of the first. I mean, it was in its infancy, but they were in the NIL stage in phases. So, I mean, proud of them, love them like I do the others, and I want to continue for them to grow.
Coach, back in preseason, you had talked about an element of patience that you had to have with this being such a young team. Getting to this point now, what has stood out to you and impressed you most about their growth from an intangible standpoint?
I mean, we're going to be young every year, so I don't think college football is going to have old teams anymore. I think they're going to be youth across the board, and we're going to have to. I'm going to have to get used to being patient because it's what it is. How fast can you grow your youth compared to others? But I'm proud of this group and what they've done. They've got good intangibles. They work hard. They'll get tested this week in terms of their focus and how well they can continue to elevate as opposed to just sit there and idle by. They got to make a choice on whether they want to continue to get better.
Coach, you just kind of alluded to some of the differences with college football now. You want to ask you about some numbers. I know you don't typically like to reflect on this, but it's kind of interesting. The last 5 years, you guys went 37-3 in the SEC, and I think that ties Saban as the best 5-year span in SEC play. I think Spurrier was 36-4. You played then. How different is it? How much more challenging is it now, do you think, to win SEC games than it was 10 years ago when you were part of that Saban staff that had that 5-year run, or even when you were a player and actually played against some of those Spurrier teams that had that 36-4 stretch?
I think it's a hard question to answer. It's a hard comparison because my perspective as a player and my perspective as an assistant is very different than my perspective as a head coach. And it's changed within that window you talked about. I don't know that the early years that you're talking about in the 5-year span were that different than those years that I was an assistant. But the last two, since the expansion and the increased transiency and the increased in NIL, it's become a more parity league in the last two. So probably within that 5-year span you're talking about in that record, it's been harder on the back end of it.
What kind of growth have you seen from the defensive line in terms of getting pushed towards the quarterback pressure?
None. I mean,
You think you're being consistent all year?
been consistent all year.
What of Oscar Delp's development as a person since you started recruiting him way back when have you been most proud of?
Phrase that again. What part of Oscar have I been most proud of? A ton. I mean, like his maturity. He was really mature last year. He was a third-year player that was really like a fourth-year player last year, and he's a fourth-year player this year. It's like a fifth-year player. He does things naturally that like you just get over time, and he's really smart, really wise. He has great spatial awareness of who to block, when to block them. You can put more on Oscar than you can somebody else because, I mean, he's seen it all and done it all. You can't put a value, and I don't mean a monetary value, I mean like a value in terms of our team on what he does for the team. He's just incredible. He leads. He's got passion, fire, and energy. He's playing really physical this year. I mean, he's grown up is what he's done. He's practiced better too this year, but he didn't practice poorly before. He's just improved that, and he fits this identity of our offense really well. He fits Gunner really well because some of the things that Gunner does are made possible through guys like Oscar and Lawson.
You look at some of the numbers for you guys in the red zone on offense. What do you feel like has been the key to you guys being so productive when you get in that red area, being able to specifically be able to find the end zone?
Ability to run the ball. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, do your red area stats, and if you struggle to run the ball, you're going to struggle in the red area. There's nowhere else to go. You can't throw it up there in the 10th row. You gotta go through somebody's face, and that's hard to do for a lot of people, and it's hard to do for us, but we're committed to it. And same way on defense, you got to be able to stop them from doing that. And I think Gunner's legs have helped with that. Creativity on offense with Bobo, his staff, John Lilly in particular helps with the red area. They've done a tremendous job.
We'll check on Kristen Miller real quick, make sure he's okay since he went down the other day.
As far as I know, he's good.
Yeah, Monroe won SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. Again, just what has he meant to this offensive line over the course of the season, especially since he's gotten healthier as the year's gone on?
Demeanor, character, leadership, approaches the game the right way, a growth mindset of being open to get better. He doesn't ever think he's arrived. You know, he knows that he can improve, and I think he knows humility's a week away in this league because he's blocking good players.
Kirby, based on what Gunner's done in the biggest games, I think the two top 10 teams here, 10 total touchdowns, 1 interception. Chris Fowler, Herb Street, they were pretty adamant saying he deserves an invitation to New York for the Heisman. Do you think he's proven it himself, done enough to earn that invite?
Yeah, I would defer to you guys and the people that judge that in terms of what that consists of. It's hard for me to lobby for that. What I will say is he embodies everything about that award: resiliency, character, determination. I mean, all those words that embody Heisman Trophy winner. Gunner's got it, and he's done it on the biggest stages, in front of the biggest audiences, against some of the toughest competition at a really high level. So, he's playing well, and he's playing to make the people around him better. And his value to our team is immense.
Kirby, several teams in the SEC are still alive for the championship game. Curious, with the college football playoff now 12 teams, has how you look at reaching, you and your colleagues, I guess, reaching the championship game changed at all? Ohio State, Notre Dame went to the championship game of the CFP last year without playing in a championship game.
Yeah, how we look at going to the championship game, that would be like saying, are you looking at intentionally losing? Okay, well, that sounded like, I want to win every game that we possibly play. So what does that mean?
Well, from, the 12-team playoff is kind of an end-all be-all for, you see a lot of coaching changes, programs aren't getting there, they're making changes. How does it affect, just the path now that you have a championship game, and instead of only 4 teams, you don't necessarily need to win it or even get there to get to the playoff?
Yeah, again, my objective is to win every game we play. So where does that put us? Puts us in that game, right? So there would be no way I would ever look at not playing in that game. We can't do that. We've got to look at the opportunity to go play and win a conference championship that has eluded more programs and has been as rare to win in some cases as a national championship. And that philosophically, I'm a kid that grew up in the SEC footwork and thinks that that's one of the key ingredients, most important games. To talk about the future and what it holds, I can't even speculate what that holds. And to talk about the way our coaches look at it, regardless of how they look at it, how are they going to perform on the field on Saturdays? They're going to go perform to win, which puts you in that game.
Coach, I'll see if I can get you to speak to DeMelo's physicality and kind of when you have a cornerback like that who can play that kind of toughness, what that kind of does for him and the position.
Well, it creates value for him. It creates value for our team. We have what we want to be a tough physical team, and hard to be that if you don't have players that are willing to stick their face in there, tackle. He was that way in high school. He was that way in basketball. He's been that way competitively all his life. He's done it. So it doesn't surprise me that he's that way. He buys into that culture of toughness and showed it the other night.
Yeah, Colin Gill is a guy that spent a year here with you guys. What stood out to you when he was part of this program and what you've seen now that he's playing at Charlotte?
Physical, big, tough, plays on special teams, not afraid to hit you and playing different positions for them.
I know we haven't gotten to see a ton of game reps from him, but how has Ryan Puglisi developed for you guys in practice?
Ryan's doing a great job. He gets a lot of work, as well as Ryan Montgomery. Both those guys, we get them extra reps during the week. They get reps on Mondays and do extra throwing, and both those guys continue to grow.
Kirby, how do you balance? You talked about after the game, guys wanting to check. You don't have guys that just want to check. You have guys that want to play physical. If you have really hard physical practices, how do you balance keeping kids from saying, this is just too much, I'm ready to hit the portal, I'll go somewhere else where it's easier? But you still have to make them physical, so you have to kind of put them through that grind. How do you balance it?
We schedule them. The ones that want to leave, we schedule them. We try to get them on the schedule, because when they want to leave because they're not physical, that means they're probably going to a place that's not physical. We like those places. We like to play them. We prefer them, actually, if you can get them on the schedule. So it's one of those deals that you don't run from hard in life. You run from hard in life, you'll find more hard.
Any more for Coach?
Thanks.
Thank you.